G'day guys, I'm out at Warrandyte this afternoon. There's a gold mine tour happening which is part of the Warrandyte festival, and what better way to come out and do a bit of exploring and learn a little bit about the history. So it's going to be interesting to see what I know compared to what I'll learn today. So I'll try and do as much videoing as I can as we go to places. Get you to listen to the experts, I suppose, the local historians talking about the goldfields. So hope you enjoy. Alright guys, having a look here. There's a shaft there. You'll be able to see there's water at the bottom, and when you come down here, there's some stairs, and some nightsticks there. Now, this is not going to have a look here on the roof. See if there's anything obvious that they may have been chasing, but it doesn't appear to be. Now, I know if I lived here, I know what I'd be doing. Every day, I know what I'd be doing. But it just depends, I suppose, on how much gold was here. It's a bit tricky to see. I didn't expect to be doing this. Just seeing if that's a quartz line that they were following, or a fault. It's very difficult to see, but this is actually fantastic. All right. That is just too cool. There's a little bit of quartz and stuff here, so it'd be good to see what's going on. So you got your host rock, your quartz. Obviously, I think they're tailings. Some more quartz. But that is too cool. But I'll see if I can zoom in. You can sort of see how deep that is.
We always start the tour as part of the Warrandyte Festival from here. So, yeah, this property is known as the Westbury mining claim, and I think everyone's seen the 11-metre deep shaft and the tunnel. So just quickly with the tour, there's no places to drink on the way. So if anyone thinks they're going to need a big drink, let us know. We might grab some device to hold water and etc. And I think everyone's got suitable shoes on. The other bad thing is there's no toilets on the way. So, you know, it's up to you what you do, but yeah, I'm just letting you know. Yeah, so thank you for that. So about 90 minutes, maybe a bit quicker. If anyone's feeling really unfit and go, no, I've lost interest in this exercise thing, we will arrange for you to go back a shortcut. So we've had that, so there's no issue with that. So just quickly before we step off, Yeah, we're basically going over a few hills and in a gully, etc. So, as I said, the footwear shouldn't be an issue. Basic fitness. So, I'll give you a little brief rundown of why there's even mines here in the first place. The commodity thereafter is gold. So that's everywhere around here is purely a gold mine. There's mines all around this side of Melbourne as well, pretty much gold except for Ringwood. So why they came to dig here is it really relates way back to the California gold rush. So when Hargraves came back from California rush, he found gold with Lister and Tom near Ophir, and so that caused a gold rush over there in New South Wales. So Melbourne was only a newly formed city, so they had a big problem with all the workforce hearing about it and started rushing up there. So the government of the day offered a big reward to find gold within 200 miles of Melbourne. So different parties rushed off to look for gold. So there's two main ones, this one and one in Clunes. So, and we'll show you the spot shortly of the exactly where they found gold here in Warrandyte. So they rushed off, these different parties. Around the same time they found the gold here in Clunes. The Clunes party advertised it first in the Geelong Gazette, I think it was, and then shortly after the Gold Committee advertised both of them. By then both finds or claims were made in Melbourne, and they advertised it as basically a joint claim, which started the gold rush in Victoria. So for those interested, before we rush off, there's some photos of some other mines in Warrandyte that I've taken, because most of them have been backfilled, closed off, etc., like the ones we're going to see. Unfortunately, they're sort of closed, but we can see parts of them. So, is there any questions before we run off? I don't mind questions, because we'll be stopping at different spots. There's a lot of people pull me up and ask me a question. I say, I can ask me at the next spot. But is there any questions? Yes?
What year did they start?
1851.
51,
June
okay.
30, 1851, they found gold down here.
Yeah.
And it's on the monument. So I'll remind everyone when we're down there. So, yeah.
Cool.
And what
Yes.
date did they find it in Clunes?
Oh, Clunes, here we go. It was around the same time. I'll just say, yeah,
I just
Jenny's
went-
got the answer. She's
Well,
just been.
I just went and had a look, and it was the 1st of July on the clock.
So it was around the
So the
same
day
time.
after.
It doesn't really matter who found it first. It was advertised first by James Esmond, who found the gold at Clunes in the Geelong Gazette. So it was the first place in Victoria it was advertised officially. There's other gold finds happened beforehand, but the government today didn't want people to find the gold, because they wanted all the workforce to start working on the selections on the farms, and didn't want mass exodus. So they were afraid of that, and but yeah, once Hargraves found gold in New South and advertised it, that was it. It all just started the gold rush in Australia. Yes, there's another question.
No, I heard
Oh.
the reason was that people in Warrandyte were closer to the registration office.
Yeah, so
And that's why we
so what
registered
happened
first.
was, yep. So when they found gold at Clunes, it was closer for them to go to Geelong than Melbourne. So they went to Geelong, then it was advertised then, but the party here in Warrandyte got their claim, or got their find, was the first one they got to the Gold Committee. So that's true. But then they got to hear about the other one, and then by the time they advertised and said, everyone, there's a big gold rush, yes, there was two parties by then. So it was classed as a joint claim, and they both got the big reward for it. Yeah.
So what was the reward?
No, 200 guineas. I don't know how much that is.
I do.
Would have been a lot.
Oh, Jenny knows. How
Well,
much 200
approximately
guineas?
70 to 80.
Oh, good. Okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah, and believe it or not, they had a lot of trouble getting it. They had to take legal action, even though you look at how much gold they found, and they still had to take good old government to. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll move off, and yeah, any questions? We'll do stops along the way and I'll point out different things. Yeah. Right, no question, no? All right.
Thanks for making your place available.
I've been at that mine.
So this mine here, it's different names, but Gerody's Tunnel or the Fourth Hill Tunnel. Now the local innkeeper was Patrick Gerody. So in 1856 he owned Gerody's Inn, which is on the current spot of the Mechanics Institute. So if anyone knows Mitchell Avenue, or it's, then it was the Warrandyte Hotel that burnt down, and then actually it was right on 100 years ago. Burnt down, and then it's the Mechanics Institute. So so that was 1856, and then 1859. So what's in short, we'll learn a bit more about the alluvial gold. So the gold in Warrandyte is in the quartz. So it's a milky rock, which is basically glass. So inside is the gold, and the reefs in Warrandyte and most of Victoria run roughly north-south. So here they run north and a little bit east, 15 degrees east. So this particular tunnel, I'm sort of jumping the gun a bit, but further down, what would happen is there's two methods in Warrandyte, and they're basically, oh yeah, got some quartz here, milky glass, thank you. So as it eroded, the gold being or just being very heavy, tends to stay in the gullies, and so what they do is try and find that gold first, so they try and find that, but then after a while when that got scarce, they then decided to dig for it. So they dig and try and find these quartz reefs. So often on the ground you'll see little trenches called costines that run roughly east-west, and then they'd hit the rocks and they'd hit bits of quartz, and then they'd keep systematically digging along, and then they could trace where the reef's going roughly. So here, this tunnel goes into the side of the hill, and then eventually it hits one of the reefs. There's a couple sort of parallel little reefs along here. So this tunnel, all up is, I've been in 370 metres in this tunnel I've mapped out. So, but it used to go a little bit longer. And there's two ventilation shafts, and we'll actually see one of them. We'll have a quick look at one of them a bit later. Is up higher, so just remember that there's a ventilation shaft that's a bit open. There's one a bit further up the hill, and unfortunately the parks have blocked that off. But that was a good one. We came right into this mine because there's another upper level. So most of Warrandyte people have been in this one. So unfortunately it's closed, but you can get in 12 metres. So you're more than welcome to have a bit of a look. And how hot do you reckon it is, kids, inside? How hot do you reckon it is in there? Wouldn't have a clue. How much? Yeah, good. That's right. About 14 degrees all year round. All year round. So when you walk in, so it's good on a cold day, you walk in, or a real hot day, and So if you want, are there any questions before you run in?
I was going to say, could I map out the tunnel with the stick?
Oh yeah, sure.
Map
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll check it.
Points given for...
There we go. This is good. Got
So
an assistant.
if you come down, and where the entrance is here, and the gate is about here.
Yeah, 12 metres in, yep.
If you keep going down, there's a crossroad.
That runs along the reef. That's where the reef runs along.
So I presume the quartz seam is the quartz seam falling here. And then there's a couple of little
Yep.
things here. This is a big archway
The
up.
stoping, yep.
Now stoping's the
So
wood.
they've stepped up and they're drilling up on
Right.
the quartz.
And then the last bit is a
Yep, another drive on there. Yep, that follows
dogleg.
another reef. Yep. Very
How
good.
far in would that be?
Or 126 metres from memory.
Okay.
126 metres to there. And here it goes up on an angle like that to the second ventilation
that's where the
shaft.
ventilation's going.
So the first ventilation shaft's about here, and the second one's here, and they run up there. So we'll go to the lower one.
They closed it about 20 years ago, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Just after
that's exactly right.
2001, when we celebrated the 150th or whatever, shortly after they said, "Good, you've had your fun, let's shut them off." Literally, that's what they did. They did have a gate here. Unfortunately, people break into it, and they've just welded it shut. So,
What sort of effort would have been had they had to do
a lot,
in
because
order
back
to-
then it was primitive, like 1850s is when they really seriously started quartz mining in Victoria, like the late 1850s. The first sort of places were Steglitz, if you know where that is. That was sort of the first early quartz mining. But yeah, as soon as all the alluvial gold starts getting scarce, then they started forming parties, and then bigger parties and bigger parties and bigger companies, etc. So
How did they get the rock out?
rock out,
Yeah,
drill and
horses?
blast.
Oh no, sorry, after having got it,
Okay,
out
the
of here.
quartz, so what they do, here there's two mullock heaps. We'll pass one of them, you'll see it, two fingers. There's one near this blackened tree and there's one over here. So they came out here with ore carts on little railway lines
Yep.
and pushed the things out. All the overburden, all the things they didn't want, go in the mullock heap. The stuff they wanted, they'd bag up in Hessian sacks quartz. We've actually got a good photo in the Historical Society of that. Then another issue was actually getting it crushed. In Warrandyte they didn't have good crushing plants. The first one, there was one right near where Anderson Creek comes out of into the Yarra.
Right.
So where the market is across the bridge, it was a kiln. There's actually, you can still see remnants of the quartz there. So they heated the glass up, the quartz, to soften it, and then it was easier to crush it.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a whole process. So the process back then wasn't great. And then there's other crushing plants. Bigger companies had them, like down Tills Drive. There's one. There was a 1897. There was one at the water wheel, the State Battery in Warrandyte. There's a plaque there for
down
it.
by the river.
There's plenty of photos of that. Yeah. So the state government said we'll make one for all these other ventures, and they can come and pay us. They
So
can
it was like a big
bag them
battery
up.
ram thing.
Yeah, a whole lot of like pistons in a car.
Oh,
So the water would
okay.
turn them and they'd lift up, go ding, ding, ding like this. There's a great one at Sovereign Hill.
Crush the rock.
Yeah, it's a fantastic example of one at Sovereign Hill. Yes.
Who came up with the bright idea to change the entry? Like, we used to have just a hole in the ground, and now it's made to look like it's a mine entrance with
Oh, just there.
yeah.
Oh, so that was the same around the same time. So I know the guy that did that.
Why? It's not our heritage to have.
Yeah, I
mine
know.
entrance
Yeah,
like
you'll
that.
have to speak to the parks about that.
okay.
There was nothing unsafe. It's solid rock.
Yeah.
But they probably thought things might fall from up above, and they have to put that in. Yeah, a friend of mine, Stan Bone, did that, but he was contracted to do it. So, and there's one down at the Victory Mine. But yeah, they often around mines there, around the very entrances, where it's not that solid, because you've got the normal ground and then it's slowly solidifying, or it might be loose rock. So mines often had these around them, but this one here, it's very safe. But yeah, I'll go in there, and if you can come up with more questions.
Maybe not all together, but
Yeah, it only goes 12 metres in, so you won't get lost. Yeah, I'll wait for some to come out. I suppose we'll wait.
Oh, they would have had land. Yeah, they would probably have like.
You don't like it? You're up. Right, I'll send it. No kitchen down there?
Can't really see much.
Sit around the corner. Oops, I like this.
So that's what all the miners were looking for. They were looking for the quartz.
Should have done a count. 2 quick questions before we rush off. No, there's one over here before about buildings and stuff.
Construction, yeah. So
Construction, so obviously in the old days they used to construct houses, etc. and buildings out of the local materials. Rock is the obvious one, but timber. So back when mining was in its peak in Warrandyte, about 1908 to about the First World War, pretty much there was no trees in Warrandyte. There was a handful of bigger ones. All this is regrowth. You'll have the occasional really big fat tree in Warrandyte, but it's pretty much all regrowth. Mainly from the boilers. The big boilers, they used to throw it in to crack steam for winding, etc. for the bigger mines. This is a fairly smallish mine. So I think there's no, Christine had a question.
Yes, hello.
Oh.
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
More recently, have people found gold through metal detectors?
Oh yeah, so in Warrandyte there wasn't really any big nuggets. So people, so it's probably fairly pointless trying to find gold with detectors here. There's still alluvial gold that people find in the creek and in the river. There was different other ventures in the river where they've diverted the river in 2 spots, a canal and then a big tunnel. I recommend everyone goes and sees the tunnel at Pound Bend. If you haven't seen it, recommend you do that. What else was it? Yeah, there's nuggets north of here, near One Tree Hill, St Andrews Way. So this is called the Victoria Goldfield because we split away from New South Wales pretty much as soon as we found gold here. So this is the first official goldfield in Victoria, so it's named the Victoria Goldfield. So north of the river, it's called the Caledonia Goldfield. So, and then there's the Emerald Goldfield. So it's named after obviously England and Scotland and Ireland. So people are still finding gold, but you're probably better off going elsewhere where you're less restricted and there's actually nuggets, like in the Golden Triangle, etc. All right, so we'll go down now down Big Long Hill, cross a little creek. It's not really that challenging. If anyone needs to be carried over, I'm sure we'll, some strong people will. Oh, is there another question?
No, I don't want to carry
Oh, you want to be carried over? All right. Oh, yes, another quick one.
If this is regrowth,
Yep.
is it a lot of it introduced species to the area?
Oh,
think, or
not
is it
really.
pretty
It's
natural?
pretty
Not
good.
the upper story, middle story. No.
Pretty good.
but I mean
Obviously,
all the
yeah.
bushes, you know.
Obviously, we don't have the.
Yeah, from seeds, yeah.
Obviously, we don't have the huge trees with the big hollows for the animals and all that sort of stuff. But yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
all right, we'll go down to where they found the gold first. All right.
So before he was talking about the Mullick Heap. This must be the Mullick Heap just here. I don't know if you can tell. Alright, we're off down to Anderson Creek.
This isn't too bad actually. Sometimes you have to go that way. But like with that slow and steady, there's no point for fast. Oh, what did you do? You're on the blog, I thought. Congratulations. Well done.
So everyone will know the spot from my videos. We're at the Anderson Creek car park, Fourth Hill, Gold Memorial Road it is.
Hope you don't run out of memory on your thing.
No, plenty.
You've been not posted, it'll go for like an hour and a half.
That's
Yeah,
alright.
2 hours.
Oh, don't worry, that's all good. I see they put the new little sign up down there. The little metal one. That never used to be here.
I just quickly, so just down the creek, so this, someone asked, this is called Anderson's Creek. So named after James Anderson, who was the first settler in Warrandyte, 1839. So he settled down near where that kiln I said was. So pretty much the junction of Anderson's Creek and the Yarra River. So down here, this is where bend. It's described as a bend in the creek. So I'm assuming it's the one just up from where this can is, or the memorial is. So yes. So I'll take you down there. So Louis, Michelle and William Haviland and Party located gold down here. So they went off and then they were the ones that got a reward, the gold. So I think there might have been some, is there any questions? Someone have a question? No? So 1935, I think they erected the memorial down here. So, beauty. Let's go. It's fairly narrow.
Oh, really? Yeah, it never happened.
Never happened.
Well, yeah, wait until after his life. Commemoration of memory of, well, the
Yes, right.
bus broke
There's
down.
one new little sign when the ranger come and spoke to me right here. Hopefully you can see that. That never used to be there. I've already said that in the video prior. But if you want some gold, it's right there.
What was his name again? Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Kelly, I was going to say.
That was a prompt.
Everywhere.
He'll appear.
All right. Here we are.
It's 30th of June, 1851. Louis Michelle, William Haviland, there's a whole lot of Jameses. And there's a bend just up here where they would have found it. They said it was in a bend in the creek. So.
Late June, 28th. Yeah, they could do. So the 1st of July cleansed was, so we've got June.
28th of June, or
It just says June.
It doesn't matter who was the first.
Yes, it does.
Kind of does.
Number one. Number one.
Okay. Clunes are having a bit of a hard time at the moment. Leave them alone.
Okay, it was here in Clunes.
Leave them where it's can.
Joint claim, but Clunes was a lot bigger gold field. They opened up the Ballarat gold field and Creswick. Are there any questions? Right, so I'll start asking some.
What sort of verification did they have to go through?
So what happened was, I don't know if this will answer it, but what happened, they found roughly 10 pieces of gold. And the funny story is they had it on a bit of paper and they were looking and they were so excited and a little gust of wind actually blew it off. And and they lost it into grassland. It's a true story, and they said, oh, I'm not, I mean, they would have found more anyway after a while, but they did all that panning and they got excited and actually went into grass and they had to try and find the specks again. So, yeah, so, yeah.
How I discovered it.
Any other questions? I've got to think up some. How heavy is the gold?
Ooh.
So if you have a litre of water and then a litre of gold, how much is the gold going to weigh in that litre container?
A lot more.
It's about 19.32 times. That's how much, nearly 20 times the mass of, the weight of water. That's how heavy it is. So the good thing about gold is it doesn't rust, and it's heavy and it's very alluring, a yellowish metal. So it'll sit in the crevices pretty much just about forever. Just sit in these crevices. Aboriginals had no use for gold, so when the foreigners came along, there was gold everywhere. Heaps of gold, even in here. Unfortunately, in Warrandyte, there was a bit of flooding in December of that year, and combined with fines all over the state popping up, it was almost deserted in December. Then people slowly came back. But yeah. Yep. So there's gold fields everywhere. You wouldn't know that. Bendigo, probably the biggest. I think it's still the 7th biggest gold field in the world. Ballarat you've all heard of. Southern Hill, go to Southern Hill, it's fantastic. But there's big mining towns everywhere, all through Victoria, even Gippsland, all over the place. So, except for the far northwest and the far southwest, but pretty much, even in the Grampians there's gold. So, any quick questions before we move off?
Does the gold, sorry.
Yep.
Does the gold move in
Right.
peaks?
Oh, it does move.
Yep.
So as it erodes from the quartz,
Yep.
because it's so heavy, it tends to stay back more than the other fine stuff that gets washed off. Like in this, you can see there's bits of clay. So that's tiny particles, and that's getting washed away. And all the tiny bits of silt and sand gets washed. But the gold, being so heavy, tends to stay wherever it sits. So all the crevices in the rocks, it'll just sit down in that.
Yeah.
So people are still finding gold today. I think, I didn't even see them, from the gold panner? Yeah. There's often people, you're actually allowed to, in some sections here, pan for gold.
Yeah.
But,
I think I found a speck in here.
yeah, I found gold by accident. I've just found bits of gold in mines, just find little specks and stuff. So there's still gold around.
Not much.
So, any more questions before we run off? No? Oh, not that we had one. Yep.
Alright, my very first video was filmed here, and I dug about where that rock is there and got my first gold from Anderson Creek. So if you look at the very first video I've ever posted, this is the spot. Now I've got to chase and catch everyone.
He's actually helped fix up this troll bridge. He's had loose planks and he actually came and fixed up the panels, and we both helped trim all the branches off the track. We always do a reconnaissance and there's always branches and stuff. So you've got Jason at the end. He helped fix this up and helped do this. So we'll go to the next claim, the monument claim, and this is one of the latter ones in Warrandyte. So I'll talk to you a bit about this when we're up there. Follow me, and the footing, just be careful, single file, and just got to be careful. Right, this one won't take long. So we've made it this far. There's one other little stretch going up to another tunnel up here. So this is a monument claim. So Mr. Manson and Hardy dug this. So it was a 12-year lease, 1953 to 65. So it consists basically of this shaft, gone a lot further, and there's another shaft we go past. And what's good about this, or was good about this one, is there's remnants of a hut original hut that they use. I know it's sort of, 1965, but still there's not many huts, mining huts left. So that's pretty much this one. I don't think they found too much gold. So it just shows you that people still, there's another, I mentioned the biggest sort of, I suppose most amount of mining happened around 1906-ish, 08 to the First World War. But people did mine, particularly in the Depression. They would often mine. The Victory Mine, there's another good one at the end of Whipstick Gully. So if you've got time, you can drive there, Whipstick Gully. And also the other one I mentioned, Pound Bend, which is a good, it's a water diversion tunnel, that one. But so the Victory Mine, they were still mining that around 1969 to about 71, roughly. So yeah, that was still being mined there, and then this one. So it shows that people were still mining, and then eventually they were all sort of Crown land, and then residents fought and had it all made into state parks. So the irony of it is that mining really led to the development of our parks in Warrandyte I'm talking about. So otherwise it'd all just be orchards and then houses. So good old mining. So yeah, but so we'll go past another little bit of a shaft here, and you can just get a glimpse of the hut on the left, and then we're going up a bit of a goat track to another tunnel. And any questions before we run off?
Yep.
Oh yes. Oh, here we go.
So what was the average height of the miners and their age? How many were they?
Oh, don't know.
The 1800s.
1800. Well, they would have been shorter back then, and I wouldn't know the average age they lived to, but it was a lot less than today. A lot less, like 50, 60, something like that. But do you know? I think we looked.
Around about that.
Did we? Yeah. Yeah, a lot less than today, and a lot of mining accidents, etc. There was a whole lot of issues with goldfields, with transportation, with general health, with food. If you go up to say Bendigo, you'll see the Chinese market gardens. So they were very highly sought after, just vegetables and good food. So that was an issue. So there was a lot of issues that contributed to a short lifespan. Any more before we run up? No? Good.
Oh, you're in the shower.
So actually it's pretty good that they've drafted fancy around this rather than...
But were they just open previously? Oh, they had
Yeah, they
caps
would
on.
have. Oh no, not this one, but sometimes I do put caps in. Yeah, no.
Hello.
Hello. I still miss that tunnel, going in that tunnel.
Oh, really?
Like Indiana Jones.
I have to think of a question, Peter.
Did you take photos?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Technical one.
Next time. I reckon it's next time.
So I've taken this.
Does your dad start?
All right, I've got up to 3 questions already, which is good. Else I'll start asking questions. All right, so lovely Jenny over here. She's actually standing where the ore used to be taken out of the mine and dumped down the hill. We actually walked past sort of the bottom of the Mullookeet. It's hard to make out. We need a good fire to clear it out. So this is Johnson and Maggie's tunnel. It's around the same area as the one at my parents' place. And so around 1870, this one. That's around the same period. So this is called a drive.
Jenny?
So,
Oh, right. Not in the tour.
Going to join us?
Join the tour.
Assumed they're in the tour.
Now where was I? So it's a drive. So drive means it runs the same direction as the ore or the reef. So this one's 85.5 metres long. Goes straight in as a drive and then roughly does a 90-degree turn and goes roughly west. So yeah, so straight away when they started digging this, they were digging into quartz. So, and this is on the same line of reef as that other mine, as Gerogy's mine or Fourth Hill mine. It also had another name of the magnet mine. But now there's a whole lot of questions. Why is it on a slope? I think someone said. Oh, okay, yep. So basically the rock strata. So I'm going to bore you to death with geology. So roughly in Victoria years ago, there was a push from the east and the west, and they pushed, and all the earth folded up and down. So that's one of there's synclines and anticlines. So synclines will be at the bottom of the strata, and anticlines on the top. So most of the gold in Warrandyte were found around the anticlines, where the quartz seams and reefs tended to fissure through in the earth. So that's why it's on a bit of an angle. So obviously for ergonomics, it's easier to dig along sort of the strata where it naturally cracks and when you're blasting. Water, I think there was, someone asked about the water. So in the mines, the mines would slightly go uphill as you dig in. Two reasons, one's for ergonomics. So when you've got the full ore carts, it's slightly easier to cut them out. And then the empty cart, you're only slightly going uphill, like 2 degrees, next to nothing. But it also helps with the drainage, so the drainage falls out. So the State Park wanted to pose this one, which we've fought for as well. And for some reason they said, all right, we won't block this one. So we had a bit of a win, but they said what we're going to do is leave the front sort of dammed back with all the silt and dig it out a bit and let the water sit in there and deter people from going in. So this mine is extremely safe in my opinion, except for the water they've graded and possible rocks. So this time of year coming up, there's a lesser bent wing bat that roosts in there. So it basically hibernates. So we don't want them woken up too many times. They shiver and they use up energy, and yeah. So I think that was it. There was a few. I saw some hands. Christine put up her.
Oh, it was about the bats
tricky
actually.
one.
I thought it was because of the bats that it didn't get closed.
Oh, partly, yes. Yes, good one. Yeah, so we produced a photo with a genuine one, not doctored, of a bat in there. And we said, oh, this is crazy. You're blocking this off for the bats, and wombats live in there, all sorts of things. So yeah, I think that sort of saved it. That bat.
Actually, we found frogs.
Oh, there's everything.
We went in
Frogs,
once.
bats, but yeah, a lot of wombats in these big tunnels. Yeah, so all the way along here, and even on the Great Southern Hill, there was a fantastic mine on that top of the hill. There's another tunnel further down that not many people know about. Then there's this one. Then there's diggings all over this hill and then the 2 shafts. We're going to go to one at the top of Gerogy's mine. So, any questions before we run off? All right, run off.
So is the golden
Well, just going through this, along this trail, seems like right on top of this hill there's tailings, so maybe there's some work above, right at the top. It's going to be very hard to spot. But you might be able to make out. Hopefully we can get to a clearer bit. You can see there, it looks like it's broken rock and some type of diggings. I don't think it's the diggings for this trail, but as the guy mentioned before, if there was a fire through here, it would expose all the ground.
Oh yes. So this is the first ventilation shaft. the Geology's mine, otherwise known as the Fourfield Tunnel or the Magnet Mine. So this obviously used to go all the way through, it's blocked, but I've been in there and someone said if you fell in you'd never get out, but there used to be, and it sort of is some logs, and you used to be able to sort of crawl down them. So there's two little levels, just out of sight, there's one level that's a drive that goes along the line of reef, and then down a bit further on an angle there's another bit of a drive, and then it used to go, before it was filled in with rubbish, etc., into the tunnel. And then we won't go to it, but just up the hill further is the other ventilation shaft for the mine. So
Actually, it is just
So
around the
was
corner.
ventilation really important for the...
yeah, so it did two things. It wasn't just ventilation. It was obviously once you get to a certain stage, it's harder to breathe and you're creating explosions, etc. So you need some kind of circulation. It takes ages for it to clear. So there's two here. Inside there was also a couple of shafts as well, but they're sort of buried. So it was a very good mine this, until they shut it off.
That was the best.
Yeah. So we're pretty much on the home straight. We sort of go slightly downhill and home. So are there any sort of final questions? Even curly ones? Oh yes, there's going to be one.
Did they work on Sundays?
No, I don't think they did. I think they worked every day except for Sunday. Pretty sure, because everyone used to go to church back then. A different church. You were,
Did
yeah.
they socialise in Warrandyte Township?
Yeah, they did.
What
There's
did
a
they
lot.
do?
There's a lot of hotels.
How many?
Oh, I think there's half a dozen. I think there's about 6. I think. I'm trying to remember. But there's quite a few hotels even in Warrandyte. As I said, you've got the Grand Hotel there, and not far away was the one I mentioned, the Warrandyte Hotel. It used to be Geology's Inn, and now it's the Mechanics Institute on that spot. But there's other ones dotted along. I think there was one near where we had the billy cart too. I think near it's now a church, near the Scout Hall. There, I think there was one as well. But there was a number of them. So.
And was there a slave grog trade? What did they like
Oh,
to do?
not sure. Oh, yes. Yeah, you asked about did they drink a lot? Yes. So yes, they used to drink a lot. And the mine shaft at our place, 11 metre depth, when I dug it out again, because it was backfilled in I think the late 60s, like a lot of these were, as population was starting to move in, people would complain. So they filled that one in, and when I dug it out again, I found a lot of intact grog bottles, alcoholic bottles, all dated back to the 1880s.
Did you have to have permission to dig out?
Oh, maybe not. I asked my parents, yeah.
They said no.
Yeah, I dug it anyway. So, yeah. But yeah, they used to drink a lot. A lot of people used to go to church on Sunday. Yeah, any more questions before we walk back?
How long has this tour been going on for in the family?
The start of the festival, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to work that
Yeah,
out.
it
Was
had
it
its-
70s, was it?
I reckon it was the anniversary. When was it? Early 70s?
Yeah, it was in the 70s.
Yeah, so pretty much from the start. So,
Originally you went through the main.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So down at the tunnel, sometimes we used to have like 120 people. So we used to break them into like 3 groups. So one group would go into the junction and with their torches and whatever and come out, and then we used to swap. So it used to go for probably 2 hours this tour. So we used to swap over and so our father used to run it, but he died earlier this year. So we're continuing it on. So this is the first year he's not around when we've run the tour. So yeah.
And why is this called Magnet?
Magnet mine.
How did it get magnet?
So the French ones, let me think. So Patrick Garrity, William Moore were the first ones. Then it's just generally people call it the Fourfield Tunnel, but the Magnet, don't know, they just come up with any names. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful names for mines that people just come up with. I don't even know why they thought of that.
What an attraction.
Yeah, that's it. They were drawn to it. It was alluring, the gold. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless there's more questions, we'll just. Oh, how the kids have got something. Or else I'll ask them a question.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Question.
Maybe after when everyone's
All right.
Oh, you can come and get me because you're on the way back. Come on. I bet it's not a football question. So I'll be watching the Carlton much later. It's on. All right. So that's pretty much it. We'll walk back home. If anyone wants to sneakily ask me something.
All right, guys. On my way home. No prospecting today. Hope you have enjoyed the tape. Something a bit different. Didn't have to listen to me talk too much. And very grateful to, I suppose it's the Warrandyte Historical Society and the family that opened up their property today for us to come and have a look at a mine and a little tour that we did that you have just seen. Yeah, like, can't lose this type of history, and it's great to see this stuff still going on. And this is the first year that fellow had done it. His father had been doing it for, I suppose, close to 30 years. Yeah, fantastic day out. The only other thing I'll mention is with the meet on the 4th, it's coming up very shortly. We may enter a mine. I don't know how far in we'll go. So if you are interested in doing that, bring like either a headlamp or a torch. But we'll actually just assess it on the day more than anything. These things, you know, it's been there for X amount of years and hasn't caved in yet, but you just never know. So mines aren't the safest of things, and I'm probably not going to push anybody to go into a mine, and I'm not going to even suggest that we do enter a mine, but some people may want to do that, and there'll be a mine definitely that is fairly easy to go into, and it's pretty much just one level that we'd go to, and it's not a large one. You're not going to get lost in this thing. It's one way in, one way out. Not a lot of different directions to be turning and or levels to be going up and down. So it's just one level pretty much. There is another section that goes down, but every time I've been there, that area is flooded, so you wouldn't be even considering going into that. But yeah, everyone's welcome. Hope you have enjoyed today's video, and until the next time, I will see you all later.